My brother left me at a foreign airport with nothing. Then I had a shocking surprise waiting. My name is Emma. And 3 years ago, my own brother left me and my 2 children stranded in a foreign airport with no money, no passport, and no way home. What happened afterward changed our family forever. If someone had told me that my brother would one day betray me in the worst way imaginable, I would have laughed. Growing up, Daniel was my hero. He was 4 years older than me. When kids at school teased me, Daniel defended me. When I was scared of thunderstorms, he sat beside my bed and told me stories until I fell asleep. Everyone always said we were inseparable. Even after we became adults, I believed that. Maybe that's why I ignored all the warning signs. After our parents passed away, Daniel and I inherited everything equally. There wasn't a huge fortune, just our childhood home and some savings. I decided to keep the house because it held memories. Daniel agreed, at least that's what he said. A year later, my husband passed away unexpectedly. I was only 32. Suddenly, I found myself raising 2 children alone. My daughter Lily was 10. My son Ethan was 7. The loss nearly destroyed us. During that difficult time, Daniel became more involved in our lives. He visited often. He brought groceries. He offered to help with bills. He acted like the caring brother I remembered. Looking back now, I wonder if that was when his plan started. One evening, Daniel came over with exciting news. "Emma," he said, smiling broadly, "I've been offered an incredible business opportunity in Spain." I congratulated him immediately, but then he surprised me. "Company wants me to relocate for 6 months. That's amazing." He replied, "but I was thinking, maybe you and the kids should come too." I laughed. "What?" "I'm serious." He explained that he had rented a large villa. There would be plenty of space. The kids could experience another culture. I could take a break from all the stress. At first I refused. Moving overseas sounded crazy. But Daniel kept insisting. For weeks he talked about it. He showed photos. He described beautiful beaches. He promised everything would be covered. Eventually I started considering it. Maybe a fresh start was exactly what we needed. Maybe getting away from painful memories would help us heal. Finally, I agreed. The children were thrilled. For months we prepared. We sold some furniture, packed our belongings, made arrangements for the house. Since Daniel was handling most of the logistics, I trusted him completely. That trust would become my biggest mistake. The trip began perfectly. We landed in Madrid. The airport was crowded but beautiful. Daniel seemed excited. The kids were laughing. Everything felt hopeful. And Daniel suddenly told me he needed to take care of some paperwork. "Wait here," he said. "Be back in 20 minutes. That was the last normal conversation we ever had. 20 minutes passed, then 40, then an hour. I called him, no answer. I texted him, nothing. At first I wasn't worried. Then I started feeling uneasy. Another hour passed, still nothing. I checked my phone again, no messages, no calls, nothing. The kids were getting tired. Lily asked where Uncle Daniel was. I forced a smile. "I'm sure he's coming back." But deep inside, panic was growing. I tried calling again, straight to voicemail. That's when I opened my banking app. My heart stopped. The account balance showed less than $20. I refreshed the screen again. The money was gone, almost all of it. My hands started shaking. I checked another account, empty. I checked the joint travel account Daniel had helped me create, also empty. I couldn't breathe. I immediately called the bank. After a long wait, a representative finally answered. She verified my identity. Then she delivered news that felt like a punch to the stomach. Large transfers had been authorized 2 days earlier, the recipient, Daniel. I felt the world spinning around me. No, that couldn't be right. There had to be a mistake. Then I reached for my passport. It wasn't there. I searched my bag. Nothing. I searched again. Nothing. The children's passports were missing too. All 3 were gone. Daniel had them. And suddenly I understood. He wasn't coming back. He had planned this, every detail, every promise, every smile, every act of kindness. It had all been a lie. I sat down in the airport terminal and started crying. Not because of the money, not because of the passports, but because my own brother had done this to us. My daughter wrapped her arms around me. "Mom," I quickly wiped my tears. "It's okay." But it wasn't okay, not even close. A few minutes later, my phone vibrated, a message from Daniel. My hands trembled as I opened it. The text contained only one sentence. "Bother looking for me. The house belongs to me now." And beneath it was a photograph, my childhood home, the home where my children grew up, the home I believed was safe, the home Daniel intended to steal. At that moment, sitting alone in a foreign airport thousands of miles from home, I thought my life was over. I had no idea that within weeks, Daniel would be the one screaming in shock when he opened that front door. I stared at Daniel's message for what felt like hours. "Bother looking for me. The house belongs to me now." The words kept replaying in my head. My brother had stolen my money, taken our passports, abandoned me and my children in another country. And somehow he believed he had won. What Daniel didn't know was that his biggest mistake wasn't stealing from me. His biggest mistake was underestimating me. The next morning, I took the children to the American embassy. I was exhausted. I hadn't slept, neither had the kids. Thankfully, embassy staff listened carefully and helped us file emergency paperwork. The process wasn't easy, but after several days, we finally received temporary travel documents. During that time, I contacted my lawyer back home. His reaction shocked me. "Emma," he said, "there's something very strange happening." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" He explained that someone had recently attempted to transfer ownership of my house. Someone had submitted paperwork claiming I had agreed to sell my share. I already knew who that someone was, Daniel. Fortunately, the documents contained inconsistencies. The transfer had been flagged before completion. The house wasn't his, not yet. For the first time since arriving at the airport, I felt hope. Daniel thought he'd outsmarted everyone. Instead, he had left a trail of evidence. Over the next 2 weeks, my lawyer gathered everything: bank transfers, emails, property documents, witness statements. The more we investigated, the worse it looked for Daniel. Then came the biggest surprise of all. My lawyer discovered that Daniel wasn't broke because of me. He was broke because of gambling debts, huge gambling debts, tens of thousands of dollars. The business opportunity in Spain had never existed. The villa never existed. The job never existed. The entire trip had been a trap from the beginning. Daniel needed money, he needed my house, and he thought abandoning me overseas would buy him enough time to take it. When we finally returned home, I didn't tell Daniel. I didn't call, I didn't text. I wanted him to believe his plan was working. Weeks passed, my lawyer continued building the case. Then one afternoon, I received a phone call. "Emma, you're going to want to hear this." "What happened?" "Daniel just listed the house for sale." Nearly laughed. The house wasn't even legally his. Yet he was already trying to sell it. That was when my lawyer proposed something unexpected. "Let him continue." "Stop him." I was confused. He explained that every fraudulent action Daniel took strengthened our case. The more confident he became, the deeper he buried himself. So we waited. A month later, Daniel finally returned home. According to neighbors, he looked relaxed, victorious, like a man who believed he'd gotten away with everything. That evening, he drove to the house. The house he thought belonged to him. The house he believed I could never return to. He parked in the driveway, walked to the front door, inserted his key, and stepped inside. Then he froze, because sitting calmly in the living room were 3 people, me, Lily, and Ethan. For several seconds, nobody spoke. The color drained from Daniel's face. His suitcase slipped from his hand. "No," I smiled. "Oh, you're back." His eyes widened. "Are you here?" I stood up slowly. "Have a surprise for you." Daniel looked terrified, and for the first time in weeks, I felt completely in control. Daniel stood frozen in the doorway. His face had gone completely pale. For a moment it looked like he couldn't breathe. He stared at me, then at Lily, then Ethan. Finally his eyes landed on the family photos hanging on the wall, the same photos he had probably planned to remove after selling the house. "This isn't possible," he whispered. I smiled calmly. "Oh, it's very possible." Daniel shook his head. "No. You were supposed to be in Spain. Clearly your plan didn't work." His expression quickly changed from shock to anger. "What are you doing here?" I almost laughed. "What am I doing here?" I looked around the living room. "My children and I are in our home." "This house is mine," I replied. "It isn't." For several seconds neither of us spoke. Then Daniel suddenly pointed toward the front door. "You need to leave." Lily grabbed my hand. I squeezed it reassuringly. Daniel took a step forward. I said leave. At that exact moment another voice interrupted. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Daniel turned around. My lawyer stepped into the room. Behind him were 2 police officers. The confidence instantly vanished from Daniel's face. "What is this?" he asked. My lawyer opened a folder. "This is the evidence." Daniel looked confused, then worried, then terrified. One by one the documents were placed on the table: bank records, property records, fraud reports, transfer requests, email communications, everything. The officers began asking questions. Daniel's answers became weaker and weaker. "I can explain." "Then explain." "It's a misunderstanding." "Then explain." "I was trying to help my sister." "Then explain." Every answer created new problems. Every lie contradicted another lie. Finally, one officer held up the property transfer paperwork. "Did you submit these documents?" Daniel hesitated. That hesitation told everyone what they needed to know. The room became silent. Then came the moment I had waited for. My lawyer opened the final folder. Inside was evidence connecting Daniel's gambling debts to the stolen money. Daniel immediately recognized it. His face completely collapsed. "Where did you get that?" My lawyer smiled. "That doesn't matter." Officer looked directly at Daniel. "Sir, at this point we have evidence of fraud, identity misuse, and unlawful financial transfers." Daniel looked at me desperately. The first time since all this began, he seemed scared. Emma, I said nothing. Emma, please, still nothing. Suddenly he wasn't the confident man who had abandoned me. He wasn't the mastermind, he wasn't the winner, he was simply a desperate man facing the consequences of his own actions. The officers informed him that an investigation was underway. As they escorted him outside, he turned back toward me. Emma, wait. I looked at him, he swallowed hard. Never meant for it to go this far. I finally answered. Neither did I. Then the front door closed behind him. For the first time in months, the house felt peaceful. A few weeks later, the investigation was completed. The stolen funds were recovered through legal action. The fraudulent property transfer was permanently cancelled. The house remained mine and Daniel. Most relatives who had blindly supported him suddenly disappeared when the truth came out. People who once called me selfish now apologized. But the damage was already done. Trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild. Several months later, I was sitting on the front porch with Lily and Ethan. The sun was setting, the same house, the same yard, the same home Daniel had tried to take from us. Lily leaned against my shoulder. Mom, yeah, are we finally safe? I smiled. Yes, and for the first time in a very long time, I truly meant it, because the shocking surprise waiting for me wasn't revenge, it wasn't money. It wasn't even winning the house back. The real surprise was discovering how strong I could be when everything seemed lost, and that was something nobody could ever steal from me. The end.